What's going on, everyone, and welcome to WreckTalk. And like I told you, you come into Atlanta on your feet, but you go out on your backs, baby. Georgia Tech upsets Clemson for the first time in over a decade. The last time Georgia Tech beat Clemson was Deshaun Watson's freshman year in 2014. And we probably only won that game because he got hurt like in the first quarter, and a guy named Cole Stout came in for Clemson. Also, to commemorate Clemson, I've got an orange monster here. So I hope that it's a little bit of an olive branch here. But what an exciting game. What an incredible atmosphere we had at Bobby Dodd in downtown Atlanta. I think we had 48,000 in attendance, which is, now that we've taken down the northwest corner and are building the Edge Center, I think that's about 3,000 below capacity. But this is huge. What did we say? What did I say before the season? I said, damn it, you've got to start beating your rivals. It's embarrassing that your two rivals have gone on historic runs in college football over the past decade. Both, your rivals have combined over the past decade for 4 national titles. So you got to be able to beat them. And we do it. And it wasn't like Georgia Tech played a perfect, mistake-free game and was able to get the win on Clemson. Both teams played fairly sloppy, or took turns playing sloppy in this game. Now, I said that I was going to lose it if we turned the ball over on the first drive in this game. And I swear to God, this is my team trolling me right now. They don't, I guess, technically turn it over, but they turn it over on downs on a failed fourth down conversion to give the ball to Clemson there. And then Clemson goes down the field. We stick Cade Klubnik. He puts the ball on the ground. So if you want to look at it this way, this game started off with a turnover apiece from both teams. Now, if you look at the stat sheet, it's not going to show Tech with a turnover because you don't count turnovers on down. Either way, I think the team might be trolling me here on a technicality. I think first and foremost, shout out to the Georgia Tech defense. I have been completely surprised with how this defense has played this year. I think this defense has been the cornerstone of this team. We start with Colorado, the 3 turnovers, only 7 points. And look, this Clemson team right here is an extraordinarily talented team. Now, as far as how well coached, how they're using that, developing that talent, that's a whole other question. But as far as raw talent, they got a lot more of it than Georgia Tech. And again, I don't have anything against Clemson fans. I generally like most Clemson fans. Georgia Tech bullied Clemson in a lot of this game. Georgia Tech, honestly, like with Colorado, just kind of reverted to what they've always done, and it worked. But to get back to the defense, the 2 turnovers were the difference in this game. Clemson has 2 turnovers. One, we talked about the fumble of Cade Klubnik. And look, they got momentum going into that half. I think the game was 13 to 6. Is that what went in the half? Yeah, 13 to 6, and then they scored to go up 14 to 13. I think I'd have to look back at the box score, but they had momentum going into the half, and then, like always, they get the ball coming out of half. They roll right down the field on us in the third quarter, and our defense comes up with a pick that almost goes all the way back. That one in particular might have been the difference in that game, because if Clemson is able to score there, and it's hard to say with how the dynamics of the game would change, but they probably win that game. So I think this win is really on the defense. Like the defense, first-year signal caller and Blake Gideon, I still think some depth issues at the defensive line, but you're making it work. You're making plays. You're getting extra possessions for your offense. This is huge. Now for the offense. There's some weird stats in this game, and I don't usually come on here and read stats, but check this out. If you haven't looked at them, who do you think threw for more yards in this game if you don't know? Haynes King or Cade Klubnik? Write your answer down. Who do you think, what team ran for more yards in this game? You think Georgia Tech ran for more yards or Clemson? Check this out. Haynes King threw for more yards than Cade Klubnik in this game. Not many, but 211 to 207. Clemson ran for 174 yards in this game. Georgia Tech 147. So Clemson had more rushing yards than Georgia Tech. Haynes King threw for more yards than Cade Klubnik, and Georgia Tech wins this game 24 to 21. Just that to me is weird. No one had that on their bingo card as being a possibility before the game. Now, I do agree with Pigskin Pete. Shout out to him. Enjoyed having him here. It was a ton of fun. I hope other than the outcome of the game, I played a good host to you. Again, ton of fun. But they are trying to use Cade Klubnik like Haynes King. Cade Klubnik had 17 carries for 62 yards. I think Haynes King had 20 carries. I'd have to look at the player stats. Okay, yeah. Haynes King, 25 carries, 103 yards. Cade Klubnik, 17 carries for 62 yards. I don't really know why Clemson is trying to emulate what we do with Haynes King. I think Cade Klubnik's a good quarterback. Like Pete said, I think he's having to try and carry the entire weight of what's not working with his offense on his shoulders, and no one's going to handle that well, right? The run game with Clemson is a little. I guess the biggest thing with Clemson is that you got bullied up front, and shout out to my team, Georgia Tech. That Georgia Tech was able to bully up front was also a big difference in that game. There was only one sack in this game, by the way. Did y'all know that? For both teams combined for one sack. It was for Clemson. So Georgia Tech, that's another thing that is just kind of damning for Clemson. 0 sacks is able to come away with a win in this game. I do think that's an indictment. That's probably the biggest indictment on the offense I've seen thus. And no one was higher on me or was higher on Clemson than me. Also, no one's higher on me than me. I think a lot of myself. Third downs, basically the same. Georgia Tech 0 for 2 in fourth down conversions as well. Not a lot of offense in the game. Tech is outgained by Clemson, 381 to 358. But again, the turnovers. I think the turnovers were the difference. And let's just call it what it is. There's a grittiness and just a toughness and just a grittiness and toughness to Georgia Tech right now that just wins games for them. And a confidence like Brent Key, the job he's done at Georgia Tech, and all these sons of bitches out here that called this a lazy hire, like what was that Harry Potter's deficient cousin there at Rufino, whatever show that is. What is he now? He's 7-1 against ranked ACC opponents. The man gets up for big games. The confidence in that final drive about broke me. Because I'll be honest, when Clemson converted a 3rd and 22, running it right up the middle, I thought that was the game. I was like, yep, they're going to open it up. They're going to run away with this. They're going to win it by 20 points by the end of the game. That didn't end up happening. But the final drive, I look at Pete when it was 3rd and 4 with 26 seconds left or 28 seconds left. I said, well, we can't throw it or we can't run it here. We don't have any timeouts. If we don't get the first, then we can't stop the clock, and we don't have a down to spike the ball because it'll be 4th. We run it right up the middle with King. And then with no timeouts, Chinese fire drill to kick a 55-yard game-winning kick. The place goes crazy. And I was pissed. I was like, I don't want to be the Chinese fire drill kick. No. Why am I always so stressed? Why is all my hair turning gray? Why is my voice gone? Electric environment. Sea-Dog and I rushed the field now for the second time together. And the mustache is now 3-0. 3-0 for the mustache. Got to dap up Clayton Powell-Lee. You saw in the beginning the goalpost being kicked out, but let me just read you off who Georgia Tech has left now. So Georgia Tech, we've talked about it, huge win to stop this bleeding losing streak to Clemson. Start off your season 3-0. Who does Georgia Tech have left other than Georgia that they won't be favored against? Temple next week at home, at Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, which is an absolute disaster. They got their absolute brains beat in by Old Dominion. Duke, at Duke, Syracuse, Boston College, which just lost to Stanford last night, Pitt. Which one of those teams should we lose to? Now, will we lose to one of those teams? Probably, knowing Tech. I hope not, but probably. But which one of those teams would you be comfortable with losing to? None of them. You'll be favored in all of them. So it sounds weird to say, for me to come on here and say, well, Georgia Tech's in the driver's seat, week 3 in the ACC, only playing one ACC game. But because of how their schedule stacks up, things are looking really good for Georgia Tech, I'll say. A lot to be excited about with Georgia Tech. Now, as far as looking ahead, Georgia Tech has 147 yards rushing. If you take away Haynes King's rushing yards, how many rushing yards did the rest of the team have? 44. That is a problem moving forward because we did struggle to move the ball in that game. Like we gave up 14 unanswered points. And we just reverted to running Haynes King up the middle and like option with Haynes King. And made him carry the ball 25 times. I do not see how he can make it through the season doing that. And that's nothing against Haynes King. Don't type out, oh, Haynes King hater, blah, 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 blah. All I'm saying is, I would like our running backs to run for more yards than Haynes King and have more carries than Haynes King. That's all I'm saying. Let's spread the load here and not expect Haynes King to be your entire offense when things get tough. So I couldn't be more excited. I couldn't be more giddy. Again, a lot to be excited about with Georgia Tech, and still a lot to correct. So I haven't listened to the post game. I'll probably do that for members maybe in the next 30 minutes to an hour. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think about Clemson moving forward? What do you think about Georgia Tech moving forward? I want to hear all of it. Talk to you guys soon.